Hi, my name is Teresa Clare from Zebra Technologies, and today we're going to be diving into the benefits of ScanOnline's One Solution, a tech as a service offering with Brian Graves, VP of Sales for ScanOnline. Welcome, Brian.
Morning, Teresa. How are you?
I am great. How are you?
Great.
Good, good. With so many services and solutions available, ScanOnline now provides a comprehensive hardware, software, and services bundle that captures everything a customer needs, both at the moment and potentially down the line. So, Brian, before we dive into the specifics about the program, talk to me about ScanOnline, how long you've been involved, and how your career has molded you to be the subject matter expert.
Very good. Well, ScanOnline is a 21-year-old company that has focused its entire existence really around three verticals: transportation, logistics, manufacturing, and warehouse distribution. I've been here since 2012, so I'm working on my 9th year. And I came out prior to that, about 21 years of working in manufacturing direct with manufacturers that were selling direct to retail. So all of the usual suspects on that big box retail side.
Right on, right on. So as we begin to uncover more on the One Solution, Brian, could you provide a basic overview on this topic for the listeners out there?
Sure. Well, One Solution is a platform that was designed to remove the separation that typically happens from hardware purchases from the purchase of that day one support. We wanted to see that divide between the purchase of hardware and the purchase of that support go away. So it really does combine the decision making that surrounds both finance, technology, and then of course all of the support and support analytics that goes behind that. We wanted to make that platform inclusive of all three of those categories.
Fantastic. So how did market trends and your customers' expectation drive the creation of this as a service model?
Yeah, that's a great question. It really came about as the advent of cloud services came about. So when we looked at what was happening, not just within our customers and what we could see happening with our customers, but what was even happening within our own business, and in things such as our personal finance and things of that nature, everything moving to the cloud and those cloud services, we really wanted the expectation that the customers have that their solutions were always available to them, that data, that process orientation being available to them 24/7, regardless of where they were at and what machine they were on. We wanted to bring that into the hardware mix. One Solution encompasses the idea that your hardware technology is always there and always working. And this really wraps up the financial piece, the deployment and configurations, and it manages the devices around the clock. It also allows us to be able to triage and to wrap up that hardware piece in terms of finding that those problems that are happening and bringing them to complete resolution. We wanted that experience for the customer to be very similar to what they're doing with the rest of their cloud services, to kind of bring that to the ground, so to speak.
Right. So how does the ScanOnline One Solution create not only a better IoT ecosystem for customers today, but one that can be scaled up for future innovations?
Yeah, good question again. That One Solution platform, just as I had said just a little bit ago, we wanted that from the very beginning to allow our customers to take that data collection process and for it to be seamless throughout the entire life cycle of the overall solution. So those solutions, they talk about hardware, they talk about software, they talk about a process. We wanted the hardware piece of that not to fall outside of that complete solution and for it to be as seamless as those other solutions are. Our customer expectations are for hardware and software to always be up and working. And as a One Solution guideline, we want to view hardware as a service tool. We just want it to be part of the overall solution. And since we address the entire hardware lifecycle, One Solution then creates a process that is scalable, really both from a hardware technology standpoint as well as a deployment perspective. So all of that life cycle from choosing that hardware to deploying that hardware and to maintaining that hardware, we want to be scalable. And since we look at that thing as not being sectioned off, we think that not only is it better for that environment, but it's also very scalable.
Right on. Yeah, and you're like the easy button, Brian. That's all I have to say. But you mentioned before the One Solution, much like your managed services, is a quote unquote partnership, not outsourcing of customer tech support. Can you explain that a little bit more in detail?
Yeah, sure. Most of the IT folks that we're working with, they take a very personal stake into what their IT realm encompasses. They live, eat, and breathe that entire environment. And that's, regardless of whether they're talking about their mobile environment or their network environment, they take a big stake and role in that. So we want our job to be as an extension to what they're doing on a daily basis. We're not trying to get in and maneuver around them or through them or to eliminate what they're trying to accomplish. We want to be an extension of how they can best have consistent support and on meeting those daily grind needs so that they can focus on meeting the strategic IT goals and directives, not focus on the daily operational process grind. We want One Solution to be the guide through that grind and to be able to monitor and manage so that they can get on to what's more important.
How does ScanOnline's close Zebra partnership enhance an as-a-service plan such as this one?
Yeah, that's excellent. Actually, just through that, our relationship with Zebra, Teresa, is the key to that One Solution model. Because we have that tight relationship with Zebra and we're working with them as a premier partner, we have complete continuity between our hardware offerings, our software solutions, both ours and Zebra's. Also that support and RMA process and all the future roadmap that brings together all of those pieces. When we talk to the customer, we're again, the secret and the key to this is that lifecycle management all the way through. This is really what we mean by lifecycle management, taking it from the very beginning of the process of picking out a new piece of hardware all the way through the process orientation, right to the retirement and discontinuing of that product and replacement and refresh.
Got it. So with that said, Brian, what do you value most in your partnership with Zebra?
Exactly that, the partnership, no doubt. We have, as a partner with Zebra and working with folks like yourself and our regional account managers and our named account managers, we have shared agendas and shared customers, definitely shared goals. Both Zebra and ScanOnline are very fully invested in our customers' best interest. That's something that we have seen with our partnership with Zebra that we don't see with partnership with other vendors. And not saying that some of those other partnerships aren't good. It's just that there's a special relationship here that Zebra has both with its customers, being us, as well as the end user customers being our customers. So that comes through those relationships at every level.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Brian. I think our partnership is fantastic and appreciate you. Hey, we're going to take a quick break here, so stay tuned for a word from our sponsor.
Harness the power of ScanOnline's Managed Services Group to increase the uptime and performance of Zebra's rugged handheld devices by tapping into our monitoring, management, and maintenance solutions. From maximized device security to seamless update deployments, you can have it all without overburdening your IT team.
So Brian, welcome back here. How does an all-inclusive monthly contract favor the customer from a hardware and services standpoint, as well as favoring the customer's budget? Can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, we sure can. In terms of hardware, it really gives our customers the flexibility to evolve that hardware at the pace of technology. So many times we see our customers launch into a product line, and it's happened right now with this Android migration. We've got customers that have refreshed over the years and have half of their fleet still working on Windows and half that fleet now having launched into Android, and they really need to be able to update and to refresh all of that. And as a piece of the financial part of this, it's all about flexibility again. It gives the ability for our customers to procure that hardware as they need, as opposed to specifically what the budget is allowing for in the moment. It stretches that capital dollar across many operational years. And what that does is directly impact the services piece of that. Again, not unlike the cloud model that exists around information and the data process. We believe that you can have a similar experience as far as regarding the on-the-ground aspects of that hardware process. It allows them to buy what they want when they need it, as opposed to necessarily when a budget cycle has come to its fruition.
Makes sense. What does the customer gain from the service perspective that they otherwise might miss out on by not opting into this one solution?
Right. Well, service accessibility. They don't have to worry about scheduling for support. So if they're doing a one solution contract, we've got them covered either, depending on what that contract looks like. We're either 24/7 with that customer, or we're Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. There's a lot of different ways to skin that cat. But one way of looking at it is that they know that they are not looking to schedule for support. They know what that support looks like. There's no waiting for PO approvals. If you've got a master lease put together and we can add hardware, or we can add services, or we can support as it goes along, there's no reason that we have to wait for there to be a PO approval process that they've got to go through, which could be long and arduous and tiring. And there's no waiting for Monday morning. We're many times when the need is most from our managed service perspective, it's always on the weekends or things when they're trying to do updates and work in the system in times that they're offline. And we're there and we're available and waiting for them during those times.
Mm-hmm. How does the leasing program differ from other services? Are there any exclusive benefits to leasing instead of buying?
Well, sure. As we discussed, budget cycles, they don't always align with purchase needs. As a matter of fact, they rarely align with the purchase needs, as we found out. So we've found that leasing allows for a faster decision turnaround between the operations and IT, and that always goes back and forth between those who are in control of the finances for a company and those who are in control of the IT decisions. Those discussions are, they're ongoing and they're constant. The turnaround through a lease program, just because the overall outlay and being able to control and know what that next budget month is going to look like, makes it a lot easier. And there's also an argument to be made between a capital and operational expense in terms of whether this is going to be a capital investment that we're going to make on hardware and on software and on process implementation, or is this going to be an operational expense that we budget and look at on a monthly or quarterly basis? And there's a financial argument to be made depending on where a company's at a given time, which one of those is more important to them at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Now, when it comes to preventative maintenance, what do customers overlook?
Well, I don't know so much that it's that they overlook things as much as these things sneak up on them and they're just not prepared for them in the moment. And that is things like firmware and fusion updates, simple things like battery health. Devices are coming in for an RMA, or they're coming in to be triaged, and they don't know what's going on with those devices, and come to find out it's something as simple as just the battery health. The batteries need to be updated and refreshed, and that's something that through the MDMs and through that management software like 42 Gears or SODI, that we put on as part of this contract, we can see that coming ahead of time, and we can set those to give us alerts in terms of, hey, you've got an issue that's coming up. And then really probably the biggest help just on a day-to-day operational basis that people do overlook is they can't always find their devices, especially if you're talking about an IT manager that's got multiple spaces and multiple warehouses and multiple physical locations that hardware can be located. They can't always find that hardware when they need to make tally of it. And that's something that the R1 solution, it eliminates that problem because, again, through the use of the MDMs, we can track that and report back quickly. It's just, for us, it's a weekly reporting nature for us.
Okay, makes sense. Well, listen, we're going to take another quick break and hear a word from our sponsor.
ScanOnline makes refreshing new handheld technology and label printers easy with the Go Zebra trade-in program. From now until December 31st, 2021, trade in devices from any manufacturer and get up to $650 in cash rebates per device towards your Zebra upgrade.
Thanks for joining us back here live with Brian from ScanOnline. So Brian, how does the ScanOnline One Solution adapt to fit into different industries or verticals out there?
Right. Well, we discussed those verticals that ScanOnline has been focusing on for the last 21 years a little earlier, but we really tend to, as a company, engage with individuals or small teams when we're dealing with manufacturing. So there's a lot of large and single locations, and that sometimes becomes difficult in terms of management of both the network and the mobility devices that are there. So when we look at that, we're usually dealing with a really large facility and just a very small team, sometimes even just one individual. When we look at adapting for, distribution, warehousing, and T&L from a transportation and logistics standpoint, we typically are dealing with multiple locations and usually either a really big team or in many individuals that are spread across a big geographic area in disparate locations. And that means that we're dealing with a lot of individuals, not usually just one team in one place in a big facility. So this would be true of our retail business as well. So what we do to adapt is we try to simplify the engagement process to address things really in one of two ways. When there is engagement at the big team level or at the top of the decision-making process, we're really looking at that big picture planning problems. So what are we doing to solve the problems from a planning perspective and some of that strategic thinking, and how are we working to engage with the management teams? And then obviously the second way is the opposite of that. How are we turning the engagement with those individuals at all of those disparate locations and those diverse locations across a big geographic area? We usually end up turning those into single event issues in the form of a ticketed issue that we have to have immediate resolution on. So it really does scale from we're looking at this thing strategically, or we're actually solving the root cause of this one issue.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So staying with that theme, how do you think the One Solution impacts decision-making for management teams?
Yeah. Well, I know I keep saying this, but it allows those management teams to look at their technology from a strategic lifecycle management perspective, not from that daily operational grind. One Solution is going to take care of the grind. We want them to be available to really focus on the process decisions. What is the process? Is this process correct? And then once that process is defined, what is the hardware and other services that need to go around to support that process? It really gives additional options in the refresh and purchase cycles from a financial sense as well. Operational flexibility in areas like focused headcount. I've got headcount and I want to task them to do these things. I don't want them to become technicians out there on the operational floor. So it was always our goal from the very beginning for us to be able to converge that technology, support, and finance into one platform. But really, the greatest impact it should be to let those internal teams and end users really solely spend their time focusing on the big picture and not on that daily operational grind.
Well, that's fantastic, Brian. And this has been an absolute great discussion, and I appreciate your time. We're getting close to wrapping up here. So at this point, how would a future client prospect get started with the One Solution, Brian?
Well, two simple ways would be to either engage our website at ScanOnline.com, or they could email me directly at bgraves@ScanOnline.com. And
Even
obviously that'd be the handoff, and we could go from there.
That sounds great. Yeah, thank you very much, Brian, for joining today. Thank you to all the listeners out there. Appreciate your time. Once again, if you'd like to learn more about the One Solution service through ScanOnline, please check out their website at www.scanonline.com.